Election observers as well as the political theatrics that led to the victory of the APC. For these and more, I am now being joined by Honorable Andrew Amwanta. He's a lawyer and former Commissioner for Information, Edo State. Good evening to you, Honorable. Thank you so much for joining us
on
Politics Tonight. So first, congratulations to your party. You finally reclaimed Edo State.
Thank you so much.
But let's start with these two issues. Your first assessment of the outcome of that election, the build-up to the election, the process and the outcome. And accusations that your party rigged the election. I mean, they say the election was manipulated. So did the APC rig the election?
Yeah, thank you. I think what is important is that Edo people have spoken. The beauty of democracy is that it is majority rule, right? Mm. And majority of Edo people have given a mandate, and that mandate is clear. It's a mandate that signposts the end of an era of impunity, an era where court orders were disobeyed, an era where the Oba of Benin, the king of the Benin people, was disrespected by those in government that had a limited period to serve the people for 4 years. And what played out was a reflection of the mood of the people. And what you must admit is the fact that this is the very first time when in the politics of our state, you will see an entire senatorial district voting one way. Mm. In Edo North, our party, as we have always known it, cleared the entire senatorial district. And the reason is clear. The deputy governor who we elected, the governor refused to allow him from functioning. And ironically today, the court has reaffirmed his position as the deputy governor of Edo State, dismissing an order for stay obsequified to prevent him from continuing in office. He comes from a senatorial district. He was nominated by that district to represent their interest in government. But in the last 1 year, Obaseki prevented him from functioning. He was against the very ethos of democracy. Because when two persons elected on a joint ticket work together, one of the two cannot, as it were, go against the mandate of the people. So Edo North people were very loud and clear. I remember before the elections, a lot of people moved from his party, the PDP, into the APC. In a place like Akoko, Edo, they had about where my party had scored about 34,000 votes. A lot of the big leaders, you know, a former national commissioner, a two-time candidate, my friend Otumba Bankole Oladele moved from PDP into the APC. It comes from a place where you have a huge number of voters. The former Speaker of the House of Assembly, Honorable Kabiru Joto, joined us from the PDP and many others. So for us, it was homecoming. And besides, you look at the Etako speaking area, the former senator, the immediate past senator, Senator Francis Alebekena, joined us a few days to the election. Let's not face...
He also received some of your members.
No, the people that they received, you know now, these are people, even some of them were involved in that killing in the airport. And because they were fugitives from justice...
That's an allegation. That's an allegation you cannot substantiate.
No, I'm just saying, I don't want to mention names. Why I'm saying they were involved. The police is investigating.
Yeah, let the police investigate.
And as such, I'm trying to tell you that the people who joined them are not people of integrity. Because if they were people of integrity, their joining them would have reflected in the votes. One of them comes from the same local government with our candidate, and he didn't win his ward. And as such, for us, it is Edo people who spoke, and their mandate is a mandate to develop our state. Because look at the state of roads, for instance, in Benin City. On the day of election, there was a heavy downpour. Along Uselu Road, vehicles could not move. The vehicles that were moving were only SUVs and Hilux pickup vans. No vehicle could move on that road. So the people were prevented. So that also accounts for the reason why Edo people voted against the APC, the PDP government, but voted in favor of the APC government.
Right, so expectedly you have said that that election was a free and fair election. But
by and large.
But the PDP has rejected the outcome of that election. And I mean, let me be very specific with the words of the candidate. He described that election as one of the darkest moments in Nigeria's history.
Should I shock you? Should I shock you? The candidate of the PDP, Aswe Godalo, at 2 a.m. was in INEC office, himself and Godwin Obaseki, inside the office of the INEC rec. What were they doing there? When Edo voters were sleeping after casting their votes, our candidate was sleeping, Obaseki and Aswe Godalo were found inside INEC office, including the chief of staff, Osagbovo Yoa, to Obaseki. What were they doing at such an unholy hour? And I'm happy that the police had to arrest the governor and bring him out. Because you have immunity, you don't have a right. That is a federal area. It is not an extension of government house. Because we heard they wanted to influence the process. Collation was still ongoing when they went into INEC. And I think the international community must take note of this. Because they wanted to subvert the process. And when they lost, started screaming blue murder. So I think Obaseki has to explain to Nigerians what was doing in INEC office. Was Buhari, our former president, in INEC headquarters in Abuja? Was Jonathan in INEC headquarters in Abuja in 2015? So what was Obaseki doing within the premises, inside the office of the REC?
But at the end of the day, your party won. But at the end of the day, your party won. Does it still matter?
For us, it's important because they are complaining about the process, but they are guilty of complicity, they are guilty of subversion, and as such, we want the police to investigate what they were doing there. Because electoral offenses has nothing to do with this issue of whether a process is free and fair. Because it is those offenses that makes the process to be said to not be free or not to be fair. So, he who comes to equity, as they say in law, must come with clean hands. Their hands are dirty. We have photographs of Aswa Godalo found in the office, when it was found in the office of the INEC REC at 2 a.m.
Where is it?
At the appropriate time, we will tender it.
All right.
But the one that you saw that went viral of Obaseki being arrested and taken out of the INEC office is what the whole world have been asking that self-same question. What was this man doing in the INEC office? It took the intervention of members of our party, including the Homo self, to demand that he must leave that premises with the facilities that they had in Government House, because we heard they had a collation center in Government House. When it was not going their way, they now came to the main collation place to disrupt the process or to influence the process to favor them.
You know, for those of us outside, it looked like the 2020 script played itself again, because in 2020, even APC bigwigs worked in favor of Godwin Obaseki after he left the APC for the PDP. So this time also, it looked like giant forces in the states worked against his candidate in this particular election. So was it really about reclaiming Edo State because, according to the APC, Godwin Obaseki didn't work, or a battle for political survival of the APC?
And I think, to put this in the proper perspective, I have to also look at the situation in Edo North, in Edo Central and Edo South. You know, I've done the analogy in Edo North.
Yeah, but answer my question.
For you to be able to appreciate why the PDP lost, right? It was not just about forces. Yes, about forces, because in a place like Oredo, for instance, Ogbede Iyama, who had represented that constituency in the House of Reps for 2 terms, I was the one who stepped down for Obaseki in 2020. There were 3 of them. Before the election, none of them were with him. Because it's an ingrate, all the things they promised to these individuals, Governor Wike was angry because he was the one who stood as a guarantor. Obaseki was always kneeling down for him. You remember recently he said that even recently they came and he told them that he does not want to be involved in the process. So, haven't joined us with his winning streak. Because in 2023, because they treated him wrongly and badly, he pulled back and they lost Oredo. The governor lost his unit for the presidential election, lost his unit for the House of Assembly election. Virtually, Obaseki, even this last election, the governor lost his local government because you have a political giant killer, Honorable Ogbede Iyama there. And besides, the governor has been very disrespectful of our Oba. And the Oba of Benin is respected by the Benin people. He's regarded as a God king. He's regarded as the symbol of our cultural existence, the symbol of our unity. And having done that, the Benin people spoke very loud and clear. And that is why they lost very well in Benin City. That rain, I don't want to comment about the rain. When the Benin will know what happened.
But in defense of the governor, the report out there is that the reason most of you are fighting Godwin Obaseki is because he has refused to squander the resources of Edo people in favor of some of you who said you worked for him. He has refused to spend lavishly. He has refused to, throw out funds in favor of most of you. So that's the report out there.
Looking at you, I just smile at myself because I ask myself, is it the Obaseki I know? If I tell you the things Obaseki did while I was in government,
okay,
you'll be shocked.
You worked to him.
I was commissioner for information. I know the level of plunder and state capture that took place in the name of consultancies. I was Commissioner for Information. They brought a fake printer for Nigerian Observer for the sum of over 1.5 billion. As we speak, where's the Nigerian Observer? I don't want to go there. Aswa Ighodalo was a consultant to the Nigerian Observer. He made so much money from that process. The hotel they said they are building, they bought a property from the Esama of Benin for a particular amount, but they've collected over 12 billion. Having quiet does not mean that you will not take our intelligence for granted. By the time Obaseki leaves, you will discover that he's the worst governor in the history of Nigeria. You
resigned?
I resigned from his government.
Why did you resign?
The eve of dissolution of ESCO, they said the governor wanted us to approve a memo as members of the State Tenders Board. This is not official secret. They are public documents. That there's a software needed for this is ICT, whatever, in government, and that software will last for a year. And how much was that software? 1.7 billion of the taxpayers' money. Who was the contractor? A consultant doing that same thing became a contractor. And my question is, people keep using things like green feed, red wire, green wire. Why do you use colors? Because you have looked at the color of our patients and you keep doing the same thing, the same way, and expecting a different result. I insisted, I said, the governor will not be here after 1 year. By the time this software expires and the new government says, I cannot continue with this, is that not a waste of taxpayers' money? Not only that, to build a website, they said they needed 250 million naira. I rejected those things. And the governor, the following day, dissolved this ESCO. And one of the reasons that ESCO was dissolved was because the deputy governor, Shaibu, raised issues. We have an oil and gas commission for the past 1 year. It was the secretary to the state government, who was the running mate to Aswa Ighodalo, that has run that place. Imagine two individuals controlling money meant for oil-producing communities, the 20% derivation fund. They squander this money. They decide the contractors without a board. We have the Edo State Universal Basic Education Board. Obaseki's personal assistant, Salami, is the woman that has run that place for the past how many years? Close to 4 years. His own personal assistant. And I'm saying this with facts. Ran that place without a board. And my question is, you have been disbursing funds. On whose authority have you been disbursing these funds?
I would have loved
so when you talk of corruption, Obaseki was using that as a defense. Whenever you ask him, come and account, you say, oh, they want me to share money. Which money? Is this his personal money, which he has been squandering? It's other people's money. And by the time he leaves there, and I'm happy they've lost. Himself and his business partner elsewhere, they have lost. We expect the anti-graft agencies to do a proper forensic audit of some of the transactions that has made Edo to be indebted to the tune of close to 600 million naira. Because there's nothing to show for it. When it rains in Benin, you need a flying boat to move around. They talk about, civil service. Those buildings were built by Agbomodia. The billions of naira. Do you know that we kept on doing variation? You say a contract of 1 billion. Within the space of 1 year, such contracts became 10 billion
you have
in the name of variation.
Evidences to back up these accusations.
I'm talking as somebody who was in government. It's like when you face a reverend father and you are doing confession. Because I was not part of it, that's why I can be this confident. I was not part of that fraud. In most of those meetings, I refused to adopt most of those minutes because I realized that. And I think they told the governor that I said, these are issues that will land them in the EFCC custody. All right. And he didn't take that kindly. And it will eventually happen.
So does EFCC know about these accusations?
I'm putting them on notice.
All right. I want you to also react to two different issues because some CSOs have called on INEC to review the results based on what was uploaded on the IREF portal. Does that worry you, first? And second, Governor Obaseki accused the police of waging war against his party.
I think it's Obaseki that waged war against the people of Edo State by trying to subvert the process. If he behaved himself in that manner, by entering the premises of INEC when the election was going on, was that not a process that was geared towards terminating the mandate that the people were to give? And what the police did was to tell him to leave. So what offense did the police commit? Did you people not interview him during the course of the voting? Did they complain of anything? It was at the stage of collation that Obaseki and members of his government, including Aswa Ighodalo, wanted to subvert the popular wishes of Edo people. And if you notice, our deputy governorship candidate came there crying. right? Because he knows what these people are capable of. The local government election they did, the results were written in government house. The collation centers were in government house.
So that's an unsubstantiated allegation.
Why did PDP win all the elections? In this last election, the running mates of our candidate, who is now the governor-elect, lost his local government. The facts are there. And I tell you that the way the people of Edo Central voted, there are two flanks. You have the Agbezolo flank, you have the Okpevo flank. We won the Okpevo flank because that's where our candidate comes from. Made up of, Esan Central and Esan West. The Agbezolo flank, where the PDP candidate comes from, is made up of Igwebe, Esan Northeast, and Esan South. They won in that area. That was free and fair. You come to the Benin-speaking area, as I've earlier mentioned, because Obaseki has a very poor image in the estimation of the average Benin person, the Benin people voted along that line, including the reasons why we had voter apathy, from the statement made by the governor that, Nigeria will burn, to be a do-or-die election. He met with civil servants. He says, a matter of life and death. When as a leader, you throw caution to the wind, that cavalier way of putting things to the people, he created fear in the minds of the voters.
All right, so apart from all of these factors you've mentioned, the Obaseki factor, what has worked for the APC? Because I know it cannot be all about talking because the Labour Party is there. What exactly worked for the APC? And most importantly, because your candidate was demarcated a lot.
I think Edo people are wise. We have a government that says,
but they could have voted for the Labour Party.
No, I'm coming. No, the Labour Party was resurrected. Labour Party was there during the time of Meko. Peter Obi came with an obedient movement. It was resurrected. The moment their own crisis started, Labour Party became like any other party. You have parties like NROC, MPP, all the old parties are not resurrected. So Peter Obi resurrected Labour Party, and as we speak, Labour Party is still in comatose. So there was no way Anakbata could have resurrected Labour Party. And you see the voting pattern, it reflected. I don't think they won any word. I stand to be corrected. So having said that, our party had a candidate that was elected by his people as a senator. Before he became a senator, he had a track record. He was a man known as a humanitarian. He was known for building schools that government could not build, sinking balls in communities in Edo Central, whose water table is very low. So he did many things. He had impacted the people positively, and that was what reflected in the election. And again, with the Benins, he respected our Oba. And it was a way of appreciating him because he made certain commitments. He talked about local government workers, some of whom have not received salaries for months. He will pay them. He talked about the teaching service. He will employ 5,000 teachers. You go to most of our schools in rural communities, they don't have roof. They sit on block. They don't have teachers. In my community in Ego, you have that problem. In my ancestral community in Wunde, at times we have 2.5 teachers. I say 2.5 teachers because you have schools where principal is both a teacher and principal. So
you all continue to say that Governor Obaseki did not work. So Monday Okpebolo will take over in November. What critical areas would you say he needs to focus on?
When drawing up his campaign manifesto, we identified 5 areas. First, the problem of insecurity, right? And I tell you that at times some of us are afraid to go to Benin City because the governor had a private army, it's vigilante. But I'm happy that has been disbanded. Apart from that, you find that those in government encourage cultism, right? And these issues became a recurring decimal of that problem of insecurity, right? And as such, as a government, that will be the first thing the Okpebolo administration will deal with headlong, the problem of insecurity. And that's why security is the first on this agenda. Of course, we also have this problem of roads. Today, as we speak, Edo State has a good network of bad roads. So road development is one of the issues he will be fixing. So that Benin City, you don't need a flying boat to move when it rains. Then the third is affordable healthcare. As I speak to you, the only standing hospital that you can call a proper health facility was the one Oshomole built about 8 years ago. There's nothing to show for Obaseki's 8 years in the health sector. That was why he fired his commissioner for health. So for me, we are going to deal with this issue of affordable healthcare. The hospital Oshomole built for Edo people, Obaseki privatized it. The person there is the personal physician of his wife. He's a CMD that is a consultant, the private consultant managing that place. I speak with facts because I was in government. I was commissioner for gender. So I knew all the things they were doing. And when I was tired, I left. And I left the party. So coming back to...
You were sacked.
He dissolved his ESCO because we refused to sign 1.7 billion for him. He dissolved his ESCO because the deputy government was issued.
That's an allegation you cannot...
No, it's a statement of fact, not an allegation. It's a statement of fact.
So let's talk about this.
So coming back to the 5 issues, I've identified 4. So I've identified 3. The 4th is the issue of agriculture. The governor took all community lands and gave them to his friends in Lagos. Oh, Saro Farms, they are the owners of the shares in those companies. Okomu, they bought into Okomu. Also, Godalo is one of the biggest shareholders there since he became part of Obasanjo's government. So you found that you had big man agriculture. They call it commercialized agriculture. I said no, it was a big man agriculture because the little farm holders, they took their land, they are building facilities that will encourage import of this product. So in terms of food security, we'll be dealing with the problem of water and food security. Then the last but not the least is the issue of value-driven education. I talked about education in Edo State. You have 2.5 teachers in many places. The governor-elect has assured Edo people that within the first 100 days of office, he's going to employ 5,000 teachers. Our state university, Ambrose Ali University, that most of us went to, is now a glorified secondary school. All the programs there have been accredited. The governor used a special intervention team of his friends from Lagos to run that place in place of a governing council. He keeps sacking VCs and appointing acting VCs.
Because of our time, I want us to talk about this brawl between Governor Obaseki and Philip Shaibu, because Justice J. Momotosho had dismissed the application of stay of execution brought before it by the district government and the House of Assembly against the reinstatement of Shaibu. What exactly do you think they were aiming to achieve?
They wanted to subvert the rule of law, because if a court gives an order that this man was never removed, he remains the deputy governor. Obaseki had appointed somebody who he thought he would use to get votes in Akoko Edo, but they lost woefully. So having lost Akoko Edo, we expect the governor to toe the path of peace and allow his deputy to continue to function. And Nigerians must also know that he's asking for 1 month leave. And we are putting the immigration and the EFCC on notice, not to allow Obaseki to escape. He must answer to Edo people. We want to know what happened to the allocations he has been receiving. At last count, he has been receiving 16 billion, but there's hardly anything to show. This is a government that pays only salaries. Oh, we want to pay minimum wage. Yes, you pay minimum wage because your allocation has increased. But is that the purpose of government? Because Section 14 says the security and welfare of the people is the general purpose of government, not the payment of salaries, as Obaseki has been doing. The only thing he has commissioned in my local government are street lights. Street lights. Street lights. Even moon. We don't even need commissioning to enjoy moonlight at night. But the only thing he does is to commission street light. So Akpakomisa will develop our state. He will develop our state.
It's a new dawn in
Edo
State, and we hope the people of Edo State will eventually enjoy the dividends of democracy. Thank you so much for joining us this evening, Honorable Andrew Amwanta, lawyer and former Commissioner for Information in Edo State.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thanks for having me.
And thank you.